Let me start by welcoming His Majesty, the King of Jordan. He's been a good friend. Abdul, welcome back to the White House, man. And by the way, Barack's looking at you in the corner over there. And along with Queen Rihanna, who's meeting with Jill now, and the Queen and the Crown Prince Hussein. Where is the Prince out there? I thought he was coming out. At any rate, Your Majesty, over to you.
What's the hands?
Mr. President.
What's up with the hands? That's a sign of something, right? He's not looking good. Let me
start by welcoming His Majesty, the King of Jordan.
He's not looking good. The hands, you walk around like this, like. Well, here's the countdown. I could run a poll to see how long you guys think it's going to be like this. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's almost Valentine's Day. Do you celebrate? Are you going to do something nice for your honey or your sweetheart? I have maybe a positive message to play on the show. Top feed says he's got the wrong timeline for sure. Yeah, he's on the wrong timeline for him. That's for sure. So anyway, welcome to the show. Happy Mardi Gras. What is Mardi Gras? I'd like to know. Mardi Gras is Fat Tuesday. It's the day before Ash Wednesday, which begins Lent, where you're supposed to give something up. Let's talk to ChatGPT. Tell me about Mardi Gras. See what the story is really about it. Message ChatGPT. Tell me the history of Mardi Gras. So you're supposed to party today. Mardi Gras, here we go. Excellent. This is what AI is good for. Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday. It's the day you're supposed to indulge yourself. Don't they have Carnival in Rio de Janeiro on Mardi Gras? Louisiana is where they celebrated. Louisiana is where they celebrated because of the French background. So the French are very Catholic. So it's like a Catholic thing. And then the Catholics do the cross on their forehead for Ash Wednesday. So they look like they have a dirty forehead. And I'm Catholic. I'm Roman Catholic, technically. So here's the story of Mardi Gras. We'll start about that. Pirate X Pirate says Mardi Gras celebration also in Galveston, Texas. Okay. Cool, because that's close to New Orleans. New Orleans. Are you guys racist for being here, by the way? Just because he bought black people fried chicken, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I didn't know whether to lead with that with the title. Mardi Gras, French for Fat Tuesday, has a rich and colorful history dating back thousands of years. Its roots lie in ancient pagan celebrations, of course, of spring and fertility, particularly the Roman festivals of Saturnalia and Lupercalia, as well as the Greek Dionysian celebrations. These festivals were marked by feasting, revelry, and the overturning of social norms. Yeah, you're supposed to have like an orgy. That's what they used to do. So are humans better or worse than they used to be? We used to have crazy orgies and sex parties in public. When Christianity spread throughout Europe, the church incorporated these pagan festivities into the Christian calendar, transforming them into religious observances. Mardi Gras became associated with the Christian liturgical season of Lent, the 40-day period of fasting and penance leading up to Easter. And then on Easter, you eat a lot of chocolate too. So yeah, I've been eating chocolate. I wouldn't want to give up chocolate. Are you giving up anything for Lent? Pirate, you're black and you enjoy fried chicken from time to time. I'm not black And I used to eat the crap out of fried chicken. Black people told me I ate more chicken than a black person. That with how I would eat fried chicken and rotisserie chicken, both, lots of it. And actually, I had black people tell me like they didn't say that I was ceremoniously black or anything, and they didn't give me an N-word pass, but they said that I eat chicken like I could be black based on the way I eat chicken. So it's not just fried chicken, it's chicken wings, chicken rotisserie chicken. 40-day fasting period. So what happened? Jesus went out into the desert, right? And didn't he survive off of bugs or something? The tradition of Mardi Gras as we know it today truly began in medieval Europe, particularly in France. The French brought the custom of celebrating Mardi Gras to the New World when they colonized regions such as Louisiana, particularly New Orleans. The first Mardi Gras parade in New Orleans was held in 1837. Mardi Gras quickly became a hallmark event in New Orleans and other parts of the Gulf Coast, including Galveston, Texas, blending French, Spanish, African, and Native American cultures. It evolved into a multi-day celebration characterized by elaborate parades, masquerade balls, music, dancing, and indulgent feasting. Crews, social organizations responsible for organizing Mardi Gras events, became an integral part of the celebration. Each crew has its own traditions, symbols, and activities, and they often organize parades featuring colorful floats, marching bands, and costumed participants throwing trinkets known as throws to the crowds. Over the years, Mardi Gras has faced various challenges, including wars, economic downturns, and natural disasters, but it has always endured as a symbol of joy, resilience, and community spirit. Today, Mardi Gras is celebrated not only in New Orleans, but also in many other cities and towns around the world, each adding its own unique flair to the festivities. So, yeah, but it's because of Lent. Tell me about Lent and its origins. Lent is a Christian observance that spans approximately 40 days. 40 days. Numbers, right? Were important. Oh, wow. It's super long. Throughout Lent, I might just read the last paragraph. It's supposed to be springtime. So it's not quite springtime yet, but the weather is nice here. Little colder than usual, but Lent, you are supposed to a spiritual preparation and penance leading up to Easter, which is the most significant feast in the Christian calendar. Lent is observed by many Christian denominations, including Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, and Protestantism, although the specific customs and practices may vary among them. Yeah, so it was like the origins of Lent can be found in the practices of early Christians who sought to imitate the 40 days of fasting and prayer that Jesus Christ spent in the wilderness before beginning his public ministry. This period of self-denial and reflection was seen as a way to prepare for the celebration of Christ's resurrection, which I don't know. Like, I believe in Jesus, but I don't know if I believe he was brought back from the dead and rose straight to heaven. I don't know if I believe that or not. I don't know if that makes me a bad Christian, a non-Christian, or what. All right. So that's a little story about today. Today's Mardi Gras. So I have a video of Joe Biden having his fried chicken family with the black family, fried chicken dinner with the black family. I have more stories about Joe Biden forgetting things, and there's nothing on his calendar for the next few days, says his press secretary. Inflation numbers came out today. Are you guys experiencing massive inflation? Do you guys have financial difficulties? Seems like everybody's got financial struggles. The cost of living is very high. I was asked for a poll. I got myself involved in polls, surveys, and they asked me what the most pressing issue was for my area, and I said it was cost of living. That's the worst thing. That's the thing that brings the most drama and tension to my life is finances. And it has for a long time. And that's tension between individuals, especially if you're living together with people. So in relationships, I've historically had tension over money issues. And when things are more expensive and it costs so much to live somewhere, like you wouldn't believe what our rent is. You wouldn't believe it. So I appreciate people who support the show. Thank you, everybody, especially the person who gave me Bitcoin yesterday and last week too. Appreciate that. Bitcoin was down today. So markets were down initially today because the inflation reading came out at 3.1%, which was higher than expected. And actual inflation I have over the years of the Biden presidency too. So Pirate says, move back to Texas. Well, I was living in Austin when I moved to Texas, and it wasn't cheap there either. It was cheaper than here, but we live in a nicer place now. So, but I need to bring in the bucks. If you want to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. And I really appreciate everybody who supports the show. I will play my intro and then show you guys some news. Welcome. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. Yeah, I try to bring you the real news almost every day. Prague says, I thought you lived in your dad's house. I did live in my dad's house, but no more. We moved, and that house is sold. That's been part of my week this week, was moving stuff out. It's a very emotional experience when you revisit. For me, revisiting a place where I've been in the past is an extremely emotional experience. I don't know if I want to say distressing, but I'm having to decide about a lot of things from my youth that were collected by, let's say, me and my parents, and were just kept over time. I have VHS tapes. This is what I have that I'm going through right now. Is I have a bunch of VHS tapes of various performances I did as an actor from when I was a youth. And they're in the passenger seat of my truck right now, waiting to see, like, I might have to transfer them to digital, but in order to do that, I have to mail them somewhere. So you guys have VHS tapes? Yeah, I have VHS tapes of old things, graduation ceremonies, parties. Provo Planet says digitize them. Yeah, that's what I have to do. I have to send them in to get digitized. So that's what I'm going to do. If I lived in Los Angeles, there are places I could go, I could take them, but I'll actually have to box them up and send them in probably to get digitized. So that's just one of the projects. That's just one of the projects right now. Mr. Happy says, go get a VCR for $10. Yeah, but what am I going to do with the VCR? I have a VCR. There's a VCR at my dad's house. There's a VCR with DVD attached that I believe I could do the transfer myself, but it would be too complicated. So yeah, we have an old good VCR, but what am I going to do? Invite you over to my house to watch it? If anybody wants to see it, they'd have to have a VCR. So it's weird keeping things from your youth. Like, I almost threw out all my high school yearbooks. They were in the trash. I don't have kids. and I don't think I will, the way things are going. So it's weird having memorabilia from your youth or from your life. Like I have license plates, I have various things, and it's just weird thinking about, well, does anybody care about this? Do I care about this? Tina Smith says it's your history, you should keep them. Okay, that's good advice. So yeah, it is my history. So in case anybody ever wants to do a retrospective of my life, but that's not going to happen unless I die young, probably. And I don't want to do that. I want to stick around. So I want to feel good, but I want to stick around. So thanks, Tina Smith. Appreciate that. Luke Sly Talker says you don't need to send them in. You can buy a USB adapter to connect to your VCR. Super cheap. I'll have to do some research on that, Luke. That's an interesting proposition. I'll have to do some research on that. Okay, let me get to the news for people who are here for that. Tetra, no, I don't have any old comic books. No. I don't think I have anything of extreme value. I used to have like cards. I was into collectible cards in the 90s, but I didn't have anything super valuable. So anyway, but if you want to buy my stuff, if you want to go to the estate sale, it's coming up soon. I got to get everything. It is really weird thinking about all this stuff. And then we only have so much room because I'm in a room full of t-shirts right now. So anyway, that's the news from my life. Appreciate you. Thank you for listening to that. I'll show you the Joe Biden story. This is the clip that he released. So
Oh man, you got chicken fingers. You got cold deal. I want the root of making sure I had the hamburger. So tell me about you guys. What you doing these days?
Why don't you share about your passion in sports?
I'm playing AAU basketball right now.
Are you really? Are you guard?
Yes, sir.
Now, what grade are you in?
7th grade.
7th grade.
Right now, I'm just doing basketball, playing guard on the JV team for my school.
How about in school? How y'all doing in school? You should tell the president about the school.
Favorite thing about it is the business academy I'm in. We get to like travel, so we've been to like NC State, Wake Tech, and
You're kidding me.
So anyway, it's a nice enough video of him having a meal, but people were saying, oof. As his poll numbers plummet, Biden posts a video of himself buying fried chicken for black kids. Kings is fine too. Who thought this was a good idea? So that's that story. Here's more. Here's a viral video. You just so you can see it. There's a private plane that crashed by trying to land on a highway. Here's the video of it. Check this out. Look at that plane coming in. And it crashed and the pilots died. There's the big fireball and stuff. But the passengers survived. So the pilots saved their passengers' lives, it looks like, by landing that plane. But imagine driving down the highway and you see that. Whew, that's crazy. And it blew up in a big fireball and stuff. But the passengers actually got out. So that's video of that plane crash. Show you that. That's another kind of crashing and burning. To tie it all together, it's crashing and burning just like Joe Biden is crashing and burning. He's still up there. I mean, he's still favored to be the nominee, but we'll see how it goes. I'll show you multiple. Here's his schedule for the next few days, which is to do nothing. She said, Karine Jean-Pierre said he does more in an hour than most people do in a day. And that's probably true if you compare him to me.
I don't have anything yet for tomorrow, Wednesday, or Thursday. Obviously, when things move or we have something to share, we'll certainly put that out there on the daily guidance. And obviously, there's some movement happening in Congress as well that we're keeping a close eye on. And so once we have more to share, we'll have more to share on that. I don't have any.
Be More Busker says, how did anyone survive that? Yeah, I know. The 3 passengers actually got out. Biden's upcoming physical will not include a cognitive test, the White House says. So that's not true. Or, I mean, that is true. He's not getting a cognitive test. My dad even is getting a cognitive. My dad, poor guy. He's got Parkinson's. So he's like pretty advanced Parkinson's. So he's in bad shape. It takes him hours to take a shower and stuff. It's really tragic. And I just don't wish ill health on anybody. I just remind you to be grateful for the things you have, especially if that includes good health, because there are people that don't have it. But I told him that he was better than Biden for sure, because he doesn't forget stuff very often, but he's starting to forget he's noticing he's forgetting some things. So he's getting his cognitive test today. Here's RNC Research is doing good stuff on Biden. The various times, 9 instances since Biden took office in which he thought he had a conversation with a dead or non-existent person. Here is one of them, Mitterrand. He said he met with Mitterrand.
Right after I was elected, I went to what they call a G7 meeting, all the NATO leaders. It was in South of Cuba. And I sat down and I said, America's back. And Mitterrand from Germany, from France, looked at me and said, you know, why, how long you back for? And I looked at him, and the Chancellor of Germany said, what would you say, Mr. President? He picked up the paper tomorrow in the London Times. And the London Times said, 1,000 people break through the House of Commons, break down the doors, 2 bodies are killed. In order to stop the election of Prime Minister.
Anyway, that was his conversation with Mitterrand. Then he had February this year. So this was in February. This is in February this year. He said he met with former German Chancellor Helmut Kohl during his first trip as president in 2021. Kohl died in 2017 and was Chancellor of Germany between 82 and 98. So it's just interesting the things that pop into his head. Here he is in January, claimed he took a photo with someone who wasn't actually at the event. She was in DC at the time. This is that one.
Appreciate it very much. I also want to mention Congress, Deborah Ross. Where's Deborah? I just had my picture taken with her. That's probably why she left. No, all kidding aside. Anyway, she couldn't be here, actually. That's not true. I got it mixed up. And she has, she fights very hard for the people of this district, and she's up in Washington right now.
Wow, it's crazy.
Appreciate it very much.
It's crazy, his mental decline. It should make us sad, except that he gets angry so often. Here he is in November 2023 talking about a conversation he had with Deng Xiaoping in the Himalayas when he was vice president. And Xiaoping died in 1997.
I've said this, and I said this to Deng Xiaoping in the Himalayas, and I've said this to every world leader. It's never, never, never been a good bet to bet against the American people. Never, never, never.
It maybe is a good bet now to bet against Joe Biden. That's for sure. Oh, Biden previously repeatedly told a fake story about an Amtrak conductor who congratulated him 7 years into his vice presidency for traveling millions of miles on Amtrak. Joe Biden was famously known for taking Amtrak from Delaware to Washington, D.C. and living in Delaware.
To keep fastidious record of the miles we travel in America in Air Force aircraft as president, vice president. And toward the end of my term, 4th or 5th year as president, vice president, 7 years in, headline came out in all the papers, Biden travels, I think it was 1.3 or 1.7 million miles, 1,400,000 miles, 1 million, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, I think it was 350,000 miles, 1,200,000 miles, 1,300,000 miles on Air Force One. And a guy named Angelo Negri came up and he goes, Joey, baby, grabs my cheek like that. And he said, big deal, Joey. 1 million, whatever it was, 300,000 miles, 2 million miles, 1,200,000 miles. You know how many miles you travel on Amtrak, Joey?
Tragic.
And I said, no, Ange, I know. And he said, that retirement dinner, we calculated. We estimated.
Hey, Sue.
127 days a year, 119 days a year, 131 days a year, 117 days a year, 121 days a year, 36 years. Plus, as vice president, boom, boom, you have traveled over 2 million miles, 1,515,000 miles, 2 million, I think it was 180, but 2,200,000 miles, 2,100,000 miles on Amtrak. It's a true story.
True story. What do you think, Sumi? What, you want to say hi? I don't have your bed in here. I can maybe get it. I know sometimes that helps you calm down. Are you barking at Joe? Do you want to be on? Okay, all right. Sometimes she wants to be on camera. Sometimes she doesn't. You just saw her run out the room. She's barking about Joe Biden. That was pretty funny. He just says something different every time. He just makes stuff up. That's the other thing about him is he does make stuff up. June 2023. He ended a speech by saying, God save the Queen, man. And that was after she had died almost a year before.
All right. God save the Queen, man.
And she's dead.
All right. God
And he didn't know which direction to go. God damn. No wonder people are scared. Who's really running the show? There was an article in Axios about how he screwed everything up and gets mad at people all the time. Anyway, December 2022, Biden claimed after he became vice president, he awarded his uncle Frank a Purple Heart he earned at the Battle of the Bulge. But Biden's uncle died in 1999, and Biden wasn't elected vice president until 2008.
You know, my dad, when I got elected vice president, he said, Joey, Uncle Frank fought in the Battle of the Bulge. He was not feeling very well now, not because of the Battle of the Bulge, but he said, and he won the Purple Heart. And he never received it. He never got it. Do you think you could help him get it? We'll surprise him. So I got him the Purple Heart. He had won it in the Battle of the Bulge. And I remember he came over to the house and I came out and he said, present it to him. Okay, we had the family there. I said, Uncle Frank, you won this. And I went to he said, I don't want the damn thing. I'm serious. He said, I don't want it. I said, what's the matter, Uncle Frank? You earned it. He said, yeah, but the others died. The others died. I lived. I don't want it.
Can't possibly be
You know,
true.
my dad, when I got elected vice president, he said, Joey,
Can't possibly be true because his uncle died in 1999. Okay. I have to deal with your barking now because you're disrupting the show. So if you want to keep disrupting the show, that's up to you. But people pay to be here. Some of them, sometimes. And I'm about to check too. If you want to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I'm about to check it. We're about 30 minutes in. Donate for Sumi to stop barking. Here's Biden claimed. Here Biden claimed he once spoke to the inventor of insulin who died before he was born.
you know how much it costs to make that insulin drug for diabetes? Cost. It was invented by a man who did not patent it because he wanted it available for everyone. I spoke to him. Okay.
There
You know how much it costs to make that insulin drug?
Dead, but he was dead. Here's another one where he asked if a deceased person was in the audience.
And I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun,
Oh my God.
Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here. And I want to thank all.
Sad. He routinely forgets names, including his cabinet secretaries, world leaders, former presidents, and celebrities. Thinks Kamala Harris is president, confuses policy, makes up stories that never happened, and gets lost leaving stages. It's only going to get worse, says RNC Research. So, anyway, he also maybe just lies. But, all right, let's see what I have for you. I mentioned inflation. Inflation numbers came out today. The stock market was down a little bit. Bitcoin was down at first, but has made a comeback. It's at 49,562 right now, so it's doing fine. I think the stock market was down, bond yields were up. They say because inflation is still bad, the Fed isn't going to cut rates as much. Let me show you Kanye West. Let's see where we are. We're 30 minutes in exactly. I'll check my coffees just in case somebody dropped me a coffee. I appreciate people who have been supporting the show and leaving nice notes. Let me check. I don't think. Oh, thanks, Nank. Nank, wow, that basically is that's so nice. It's Valentine's Day tomorrow. Thanks, Nank. Bought 5 coffees and says happy Valentine's Day. Appreciate that so much. Thank you very much for that. 5 coffees. That's great. Yeah, my goal is to get 6. So one more coffee, I'm to my goal. So I've been outpacing my goals recently. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks everybody who supports the show. Kanye West says he supports Trump and says his support of Trump is why he got hospitalized.
Backing down Trump. Hey, what's next for you, Kanye, man? You seem to have done everything. What's next for you? Still backing Trump? Yeah, of course. It's Trump all day. What you talking about? Yeah. You know what it is? I thought they sent me in the hospital for like supporting. Hold on 1 second. Be quiet before you get exiled. No. What are you backing down Trump?
There you go. He goes Trump all day. Trump all day. That's why they put him in the hospital. Here's a story about Kanye West apparently getting kicked out of Super Bowl seats. It's the story to which there is no evidence, but apparently he tried to get Super Bowl seats in front of Taylor Swift. So let me play that.
Kanye West pulls up to Vegas. Kanye West buys a ticket right in front of Katy Perry's booth. So anytime they were going to be showing Katy Perry, Kanye's face was going to be there.
Did you say in front of Taylor's booth or in front of Katy Perry's booth?
Oh, my bad. In front of Taylor Swift's booth.
Oh.
He had a mask on with his logo on the mask, right? Typical Kanye. Taylor Swift gets pissed off. She boom makes a call or two. Everybody's involved. He gets kicked out the stadium.
Oh, this is hot.
But Kanye, this is hot tea.
Okay.
Got kicked out the stadium. He was trying to leverage her celebrity to.
Because he knows they're not going to cut to him. So he's like, I'm going to strategically position myself. So every time they cut over here to her.
So now you got to go back to the beef, him cutting her off. It's like, Beyonce should have won it. And then years after, just that whole relationship. But that's what he tried to do, man. He tried to sit in front of Taylor Swift. Kanye West pulls up to.
So apparently Kanye West wanted to sit in front of Taylor Swift so they would show his face every time. So that's in the news. I have a football player giving a positive speech saying what's more important than winning. Let's see if I have that. Oh, maybe I don't have that. That's all right. It's not that important. No, that's all right. Okay. So I'm going to start closing some stuff. That's the Kanye West news. That's the Joe Biden news. The Senate just passed the $95 billion bill that's going to support Ukraine. So, and they're trying to blackmail they're just trying to blackmail us, the American people. So we're supporting Ukraine and we're sent our tax money is going to basically defense contractors, but they said they do fear mongering, just like Vladimir Putin says they do, to get us to support these wars. So we're supporting the war in Ukraine. The Senate passed the bill. The House is not going to pass the bill. There was a long filibuster. So I'll show you how Putin's prediction played out. So here's a clip from the Putin interview saying that the Russians have no interest in invading NATO countries. And then what Mitt Romney said about that bill being passed. So the bill did pass a bipartisan majority of like 67 votes, even though Rand Paul led the filibuster. So, and Klaus Schwab in the chat says they're getting another 50 billion euros from EU taxpayers. That's crazy. All right, let me play this here.
Tomorrow, Russia will use tactical nuclear weapons in order to extort additional money from U.S. taxpayers, and they're trying to intimidate their own population with an imaginary Russian threat. This is an obvious fact.
Can you imagine a scenario where you sent Russian troops to Poland?
Only in one case, if Poland attacks Russia. Why? Because we have no interest in Poland, Latvia, or anywhere else. Why would we do that? We simply don't have any interest. It's just threat mongering.
If we fail to help Ukraine, Putin will invade a NATO nation. If we fail to help Ukraine, NATO, the alliance that's prevented great power conflict for over 75 years, will falter and eventually disintegrate. We will be replaced by the authoritarians, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. Next, we were told that we couldn't afford $60 billion for Ukraine-related funding. But somehow we can afford an $850 billion annual defense budget and annual trillion-dollar deficits, which has happened under both former President Trump and President Biden.
There you go. Yeah, well, we can't afford trillion-dollar deficits, as a matter of fact. I have the Elon Musk tweeted about that today. It says U.S. national debt growth is unsustainable. The interest on our debt is up 37% from a year ago because of the rise in interest rates. It already costs $1 trillion a year just to pay the interest on our debt. And it's going to go up to $3 trillion a year unless we do something about it. And our debt is going up like $4 trillion a year at current rates. So he says, yeah, we can afford to spend all that on our defense budget. But first of all, that's supposedly for our defense, not another nation's defense. And $60 billion, $95 billion total, including aid for Israel and Taiwan. That's what passed the Senate. So here is Rand Paul talking about it, just saying, hey,
open the champagne, pop the cork. The Senate Democrat leader and the Republican leader are on their way to Kiev. They've got $60 billion they're bringing. I don't know if it'll be cash in pallets, but they're taking your money to Kiev. Now, they didn't have much time, really no time and no money to do anything about our border. We're being invaded. A literal invasion's coming across our border. 800,000 people came illegally in the last month. And all they had time to do in the Senate was get the money, get the cash pallets, load the planes, get the champagne ready, and fly to Kiev.
There you go. That's the story. It's actually going to go mostly to military contractors, and then it'll go toward graft in the Ukraine. Reuters has an exclusive that says Putin's suggestion of a Ukraine ceasefire has been rejected by the United States. Well, it's not going to pass the House. It's not going to be brought up for a vote in the House, the bill, the way they passed it, because they insist on having some kind of border aid with it. And someone in the chat says, remember they said we couldn't afford a border wall, which was like $6 billion, and we can afford $95 billion for other countries. So when our homeless problem could be solved, I told you I had a clip. Let me see. And then I found it. I told you I had a clip of somebody doing an inspirational speech. I guess I lost it. I found it and then I lost it again. Okay. Well, okay. So here it is. Here's a non-woke speech from a Super Bowl kicker who says the answer to that true happiness comes from having a family. So I'd say
it is important to use today as an opportunity to take stock of your mission. Our culture is suffering. We all see it. It doesn't matter which political persuasion you sit on or whether you are a person of deep faith or not. Anyone with eyes can see that something is off. Studies have shown one of the many negative effects of the pandemic is that a lot of young adults feel a sense of loneliness, anxiety, and depression, despite technology that has connected us more than ever before. It would seem the more connected people are to one another, the more they feel alone. I'm not sure the root of this, but at least I can offer one controversial antidote that I believe will have a lasting impact for generations to come. Get married and start a family. Wow. I will say this is the most important ring I have right here. Having kicked the game-winning field goal in both the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, I have received a great deal of praise for these successes. They just announced that this Super Bowl was the most watched football game of all time, and yet all of this happiness is temporary. And the truth is, none of these accomplishments mean anything compared to the happiness I have found in my marriage and in starting a family. My confidence as a husband and father, and yes, even as a football player, is rooted in my marriage with my wife, as we leave our mark on future generations by the children we bring into the world. How much greater of a legacy can anyone leave than that? Sadly, we are encouraged to live our lives for ourselves, to move from one thing to another with no long-term commitment, to have loyalty for nothing but ourselves and sacrifice only when it suits our own interests. This loneliness is rooted in the lies being sold about self-dependence and prioritizing our career over important relationships.
There you go. It is important to have good relationships, and loneliness is a problem. So it's good to have somebody in your life. It's good to have some kind of life partner one way or another. So yeah, he gives off Chad vibes. I just looked up the Chad meme. He does look like this guy. He did kind of look like that guy. So that's the Chad in him. So, and he's got a super Chad hairdo too. So that's an inspirational speech. It's not going to please people on the woke end of things, who says you can get by all on your own. You don't need anybody else. I can buy myself flowers. That song is about how it's cool being alone. Who sings that? Do you know? I can buy myself flowers. But you can't really. I have to. Oh, that reminds me. Flowers are a good thing. Maybe I'll get some flowers today too. Don't tell my wife. We'll make it a surprise. So check this out. As far as illegal immigration goes, how about free slaves? How about illegal immigration? If you decide to take a family into your house, they can be your slaves for you. What do you think of that? So here I have a clip of a rich white woman in New England took in a family of Haitian immigrants. And here's how it went.
Story you'll only see here on NBC 10 Boston. A migrant family from Haiti is sharing their experience. They're searching for shelter in the Boston area and then recently found a host home in Brookline. And now they're looking for jobs. As NBC 10's Aaron Logan reports, they say these last few weeks have been life-changing. And
it's been an emotional few weeks for Wildande Joseph and her husband. First, sleeping on the floor at Logan Airport, then in Children's Hospital with their 2-year-old daughter who got very sick. She felt bad, as any mother would. Now things are looking much brighter as they've been welcomed into Lisa Hillenbrand's Brookline apartment.
Tu niña es muy alegre ahora.
Sí, muy alegre. Cuando se levanta en la mañana, se dice, "Ay, Lisa."
She says her daughter is very happy. When she wakes up in the morning, she says, "Hi, Lisa," and everyone starts the day smiling.
It's a delight, and it's really fun having them. What I realized is there's so much prejudice against refugees, mostly because people don't know them.
Lisa says she feels like she has her own personal chef, as Wildande loves cooking.
¿Te gusta la ocupación?
Sí.
Yeah, good point. Street Ghost, who says they speak Creole or French, not Spanish. Yeah, it's weird that they're speaking Spanish to her, and then we're not getting a translation for the Spanish either, although it's relatively simple. So yeah, very interesting that they decided to go with they are speaking Spanish. Haitians don't speak Spanish. It's true. I mean, this person does, but
In fact, her goal is to open up her own restaurant.
Quiero tener mi propio restaurante.
The couple has their work permits and they've been taking English classes.
they have work permits.
Cualquier trabajo va a hacer para guardar mi dinero para hacer mi futuro.
They're open to work anywhere to save money for their future. In the meantime, they're enjoying their time with Lisa, their new friend for life, and their daughter's new grandmother.
Se abuela mi niña. Sí.
They are hardworking. They want to learn. They want to be successful. And I feel great helping, and I get to understand the refugee crisis from the inside.
Lisa says she's so impressed by the number of people she's met right here at Brookline Town Hall meetings who've been stepping up and hosting families. She's hopeful more will do the same in the coming days and weeks. In Brookline, Erin Logan, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, the need for more migrant shelters in Massachusetts is something we've been following really closely. You can find more information about
There you
this
go.
and find out
So
how
you
you can
can have
actually
your
help
own
on our
slaves.
website, NBC10Boston.
That's what people are saying. It's like having like having a personal chef, having your Haitian family. This is Sumi. She's our Boston Terrier, who they call an old Boston. She's like almost 10. You're almost 10 years old, right? You don't need anything for Valentine's Day. You can buy your. I think it was when I started singing that she started trying to sing along. All right, I have some clips about Robert. I have some stuff about Robert Kennedy Jr. RFK Jr. And let's see what I want to play from you. I'm going to play you a couple of clips of RFK because he's got a chance. The shooter at the church, I went over this yesterday. I think it's actually a female who identified as male previously, but apparently voted in 2020, was detained by ICE at one point, is an illegal immigrant from El Salvador, Hispanic, even though it said not Hispanic on this ethnicity chart, but went by the name Jeffrey previously, apparently brought her own daughter to the shooting at Osteen. Well, I can't remember his first name. She said she wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders, and she identified previously as male. El Salvadorian immigrant, was previously detained by ICE, but records show she actually voted in the 2020 general election. The police are spending time to figure out which pronouns to use for the shooter. This is the police talking about it.
So she's utilized both male and female names, but through all of our investigation to this point, talking with individuals, interviews, documents, Houston Police Department reports, she has been identified this entire time as female, she, her, and so we are identifying her as Genesee Moreno, Hispanic female.
There you go. So that's the and she got killed by two good guys with guns, apparently. And a child was shot. I don't know if it was shot by her or by somebody else. So Joel Osteen. People said they thought it was Olstein in my chat, in my Discord chat. Here's a person who's a transgender runner who's breaking records. Third fastest Division III collegiate runner in the nation in the women's category is this person here. So, who is a male who identifies as a female and is now running in Division III collegiate sports and is apparently breaking school records. His time ranks him 1619th in the men's category, but third in the female category. So that's currently going on. I don't know how much longer that can last. I'm amazed at people who defend that stuff. The American College of Pediatricians has concluded that, quote, there is no long-term evidence that mental health concerns are decreased or alleviated after gender-affirming therapy. That's the American College of Pediatrics, who is not the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is slightly different, but they're doing reviews of the evidence, and their evidence says there are no long-term studies demonstrating benefits, nor studies evaluating risks associated with the medical and surgical interventions provided to these adolescents. There is no long-term evidence that mental health concerns are decreased or alleviated after gender-affirming therapy. Because of the risks of social, medical, and surgical interventions, many European countries are now cautioning against these interventions while encouraging mental health therapy. So that's what the American College of Pediatricians is saying now, is that there is no evidence. And they blackmail people, parents, into saying, oh, if you don't transition your kid will commit suicide. And so they're saying that that stuff isn't true. All right. And let's see. Oh, I have some stuff on Kennedy. Kennedy is actually leading both Biden and Trump with independents at 36% compared to 31 and 30% among independents. So they say he's not a long shot candidate. The National Interest published a report that says Robert F. Kennedy Jr. could be the next president of the United States. I have Tucker talking about him for about 5 minutes. I have this clip of Tucker talking about RFK Jr. Let's see.
Well, I'll just say I know Bobby Kennedy well, and I admire him. I don't agree with him on everything, but I think he's an honest person. I think he's right. I think it's just like Trump in this way. Bobby Kennedy's most controversial opinions are the truest ones. I believe that. It's funny, and Trump is exactly the same way. Build a wall was considered like completely outrageous. That's like the most obvious, and I don't just mean with Illinois, but like on our national borders. That was the most obvious observation. Oh yeah, why wouldn't you have a wall? You know, we've paid for walls in a bunch of other countries around the world because borders make countries. It's very obvious. So yeah, Bobby Kennedy's an enormously brave person, and I happen to know a very decent person. Bobby Kennedy is an old-fashioned liberal of the kind I grew up with and always made fun of because, you know, the whole organic peanut butter, you know, unshaven armpit thing. But,
I'm going to say,
in middle age,
I eat organic peanut butter and my armpits are unshaven.
I like organic peanut butter, actually, and I don't mind. I don't care if you shave your armpits, actually. Sorry. What I care about is like living in a free society. And I don't, if your default is hurting people, whether it's babies or foreign populations, I'm not for that, actually. It's really easy to hurt people. It's really easy to destroy things. Super easy. What's hard is to build things. That's incremental. That can't be done in a day. And so, you know, I'm all for strong national defense. I think we should defend ourselves against school nurses as well, as I told you. But anyone who gets too excited about cluster bombs, not my kind of person, actually. Sorry. I'm not into that, actually. I'm a Christian and I don't like it. I don't like all the people who get visibly aroused when they're talking about bombing civilian populations. I think it's disgusting. And so I do think there's an innate decency in him that I admire. And he's also, last thing I'll say, he's a true and sincere sportsman, and that's very meaningful to me. And the destruction of nature in the climate cult is one of the most upsetting things ever. I mean, in the end, the first thing I said about Wisconsin is it's beautiful, which it really is, and lightly populated in some parts. And the best part about America is America itself. It's just a beautiful country. And I've been around the world. This is a beautiful country physically.
All right, that's enough. He talked about RFK Jr. being a good guy. I have RFK Jr. also talking about how chronic disease is, and I hope this isn't medical misinformation. We're going to hope that it's not. It's RFK Jr., presidential candidate, talking about how chronic disease is the #1 problem we're facing. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. We have a nice show today. We talked a little bit about fried chicken.
Of our GDP went to healthcare when my uncle was president. Today, 20% does. It's $4.3 trillion. Our entire defense budget, including national security, veterans, everything is 1.3 trillion. Healthcare is 4.3 trillion, and 93% of Medicare claims are for chronic disease. 6% of kids had chronic disease when my uncle was president, 60% today. Nobody's saying anything.
I don't know. I've seen that disputed.
All these,
That's all I'm going to say. I've seen that disputed, that 60% of kids have chronic disease. So just so I don't get flagged for medical misinformation, this is what Bobby Kennedy said. But I don't know. 60% does sound like a lot.
autoimmune diseases, which I never heard of, rheumatoid arthritis, juvenile diabetes, these exotic illnesses like Crohn's disease, lupus. I have a lot of young people in my audience. Almost all of them have something. It's hard to find a young person who does not have one. Neurodevelopmental disorders, ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, tics, Rett syndrome, ASD, autism. Our kids are all on Adderall. They're all on SSRIs, 40%. Benzos. Why? Doctors didn't just start prescribing these for no reason. We have damaged this entire generation. We have poisoned them. And the autism rates have gone from 1 in 10,000 in my generation, 70-year-old men. 1 in 10,000 of people my age has autism. And I'm talking full-blown autism, not, your quirky uncle with, Asperger's. I'm talking about nonverbal, non-toilet trained, head banging, stimming, toe walking, hand flapping, all of these, characteristic tactile and light sensitivities. People like that, 1 in 10,000 in my generation. 1 in every 34 kids in my kids' generation. 1 in every 22 boys. The military can't recruit kids anymore. They're so badly damaged. And it's bankrupting our country, and it's rising exponentially, and nobody is mentioning it. And we have a medical cartel, which are regulatory agencies, the pharmaceutical companies, the doctors, hospitals, which are all owned by hedge funds, are now making a killing on chronic disease. And the sicker we get, the richer they get. The insurance industry. The sicker we are, the richer they are. And nobody is saying anything. No, not one presidential candidate ever mentions this. It's the biggest issue.
There you go. That's RFK Jr. A little talk about him so we don't forget that there is another candidate in the race. All right. So that's the news for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Oh, I just have some financial news. The coming possible crash. U.S. companies are discussing cost-cutting, mass layoffs, and quote-unquote operational efficiency on earning calls at a record rate, says Morgan Stanley. And we have this theoretical low unemployment rate. And then credit card delinquencies have the highest year-over-year rise in history right now. The year-over-year change stands at 43% higher than a year before. So the delinquency rate is at 3%, but it's 43% higher than a year ago. So that tells you that the economy is perfect. Not necessarily. Hey, I just wanted to thank Tex Murphy. I'm checking my coffees again. Tex Murphy bought 5 coffees, said, thanks for the top tier news coverage. God bless you, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I got 10 coffees today. That really helps. And I appreciate everybody who donates to the show and supports the show financially. Also, I'm sending out t-shirts today. Make sure to get your t-shirts at Truth Revolution Clothing. That's truthclothing.io. Get your Dangerous Freedom t-shirt that says, I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. You can get that shirt at our website. That's that one right there. And that supports Slow News Days show, which is also on Rockfin. You can pick up a propaganda shirt. I sold the ones that I'm sending out today are a propaganda baseball tee, just like this. That's going out today. I think that's what's going out today. And a Lift the Veil baseball jersey too. Lift the Veil, never normal. So and that came along with a nice note to it. So I want to thank that person for buying some t-shirts. You just go to truthclothing.io. Check out the t-shirts we have. They're all right here in the room with me. You can see over there. You can see them over there against the wall. We have stacks and stacks of t-shirts, which are available to sell. It's a great way to support the show. Go to truthclothing.io and have a great rest of your day. And we'll try to see you tomorrow. We'll make this a regular thing. Try to see you tomorrow at the same time, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your support. I appreciate you guys. Really, really do. And we'll see you at the next one. Okay. For now, that's what it is.